Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is the NBL free agency market watch, and what has been a huge day, not just for the Hawks, but for the league, because we're excited to see Deng Adel join the NBL as we look towards NBL 21. We'll break it all down. We'll talk a little about who has been the best in free agency and a little what's kicking around. Thanks to Liam, Santa Maria. Boys, hello to you.
Cam?
Going on.
Oh, man, I know what's going on. You happy? You happy?
Yeah.
You wanted to see Deng Adel. You're excited. You want Deng Deng, and you want a Deng Adel at the Hawks. You've got both your man homicide.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think that's the biggest signing in this free agency in NBL. Just not for the Hawks. I just think for the whole league. This kid is 23 years old. He's a baby.
Yeah.
You know, so for the stuff that he's been able to do so far in his career, you know, he had 13 games he played with Cleveland, 3 starts, career high in minutes, 1 game versus the Wizards at 36 minutes. We know in the G League he's averaged about 13 points per game. And he had seasons with 3 different G League teams. You know, Canton with that 2-way deal that he had. Long Island, he was with the Nets, obviously due to COVID, that stopped. He was with the Raptors as well. And each team, he pretty much averaged 11, 12 points, 6 rebounds. And he also had a good college career, 3 years under Louisville, which we know if you can put up, what did he average? 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists under Patino, who is not an easy customer to play for. But to do that over 3 seasons, that's huge. He has a tremendous upside. And to think of this, to come back into this league playing for the big dog, Gorgon, you know, and in the ownership group, you have Brian Colangelo. So obviously this is a league, which is a world-class league. You would want to come home, have an opportunity, be the guy, the marquee player, show and prove that you can be a big dog in this league, win. This puts yourself in the best possible position to get back to the show, because ultimately that's where he wants to be, the NBA. So it's a great signing for him, the Hawks, and Gorgon.
Yeah, and as Cam said, a great signing for the league. It's a huge coup for everyone. And I think that's a great point you make about him coming in and being the big dog, being the main guy, the primary offensive option for them, because I think he's going to revel in that situation. Watching him the last 2 summer leagues, playing for the Houston Rockets both times, he was a guy of all the kind of Aussies and NBL guys that we've watched over there in Vegas do their thing. There's been 2 that have looked a cut above the rest, that have looked like absolute NBA players at that event, and they're Jock Landale and Deng Adel. And watching him put 20 on teams and hit 5 of 5 threes and take over games, I've thought there's really no chance we're going to see him in the NBL for quite some time. Maybe he's like an end of the career guy, what we hope will be with Delhi and Ingles and these kind of guys. But as we know, the NBA is a situation and timing and opportunity, and when does it work out? And he hasn't been able to land that full-time spot. And as a result of all of that coming together with COVID and Gorgon and that whole thing thrown into the mix, we get the chance to have him in the NBL, at least just for this one season, and a chance to see him do his thing. He's going to put on piles of points. And a really talented offensive player. Fascinated to see what Gorge can help him develop at the defensive end. All right, he's got the physical tools to be an elite defender, but he's never really established himself as being that. He's a volume scorer, and he's going to get the opportunity to be exactly that this season. And I love it for everyone involved.
And look, obviously the Olympics are still up in the air. I think we're 12 months, almost to the day since it's meant to start again. But this is a big thing. There's a big thing for Deng Adel. Under Brian Gorgon, he's got 1 year on Australian soil to be able to be like, hey, you know what? I need to get to that next level to make sure I'm a lock come that Boomers team Tokyo 2021. He's sort of been on the periphery. We spoke about the fact I thought he would have made the World Championship team. It didn't work out that way. Now we look at it, hey, Deng Adel going to be the man. And I think I'm excited anyway that he's going to be here, even though I'm not particularly a Hawks fan.
And Corey, were you saying yesterday that, talking of Mango, you've been working out with Mango a little bit, that if he had, those guys obviously played at Louisville together, best mates. If he had known that Deng was signing with the Hawks, he would have signed there too?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, he knows and understands that this league is a world-class league again, and with everything going on in the world, had he known this earlier, he would have definitely looked into teaming up with his former college teammate at the Hawks.
I think he'll drag. I think Deng Adel will drag someone surprising to the Hawks with him.
I mean, Gorgon is going to drag someone surprising.
Well, you know what? My apologies, BG. Gorgon and Deng Adel will drag someone to the Hawks to be a part, I think, an Australian as well. Which leads us just quickly, actually, before we just on that.
Sorry, I was just going to chime in, Cam, because you're talking about what they do now. I think that one of the great things about Deng Adel is they've got their foundation piece now, as in how they build the rest of this year's team around. Because as Corey says, he's going to be best when he is the primary offensive option. So you don't need to go looking for that in your imports. What you need now in your imports are guys that are going to fit well next to Deng Adel.
All right. Inside word. You're kind of the man. I think you raised it more as a hope a month ago on NBL Overtime. Do you want to see Deng Adel sign at the Hawks? But we also know you slide some stuff weirdly into the show and then it kind of comes true. So if you're being humble, it was a fluke. If it wasn't, you broke news a month ago. You got anything else kicking around right now?
Well, maybe we should talk about Cam Oliver.
Oh, okay.
And his situation, right?
Yeah.
You
I was just going to say, yet another thing that you slipped in last week on the show where you sort of said, hey, there's a fair bit of Euro interest in him, and not really surprising, but then you also have seen the reports in the last 24 hours that Maccabi Tel Aviv is reportedly interested. What can you tell us about, from an NBL perspective, what can you tell us first?
Look, I think, as I said, Perth, Sydney, New Zealand have all been involved in conversations with Cam Oliver. I think if he plays in the NBL, we can be almost certain that's going to be with the Taipans. The question is whether these massive European offers are going to be enough to pull him away. He wants to play in Australia. But when Bayern Munich, Maccabi Tel Aviv, Olympiacos, when these teams are on the phone, that, as we saw with Jacob Wiley, can be enough to get that kind of thing done. So we wait to find out exactly where he lands. I'm just hoping it's going to be with the Taipans.
All right. Hashtag NBL free agency market wants to get involved. Anything else kicking around?
Waiting for word on what Melbourne United's going to do in the middle. It's been stuff bubbling around about conversations with Angus Brandt, whether or not that happens. And I look at their depth chart and think, if they get Angus Brandt, do they only go with one import now? Well, because that will be their starting lineup, right? And they've got a spot as a backup three. You've got teams like Adelaide and Brisbane both probably going with one import. Imports are super expensive under this current environment with the salary agreement. Fascinating what's going on at Melbourne United.
Homicide, we're just over a week into this thing. Who do you think right now is the winner of free agency? Or is the leader, not the winner, the leader?
New Zealand Breakers. I mean, all they're waiting on is getting that deal done with you-know-who. They've nailed every position. The blueprint is all but done. So that's all. They're still a front runner to me.
Yeah, they did so much great work early on with all those extensions that they did. And then the Ty Webster thing takes it to a whole nother level. If it's not New Zealand, I'm going to say it's Melbourne, because Chris Goulding is where it starts and finishes with that team. And they got that done for 3 years, which was enormous. Yeah,
I'm going to say the Hawks. Now, they lost Sunday Ditch, and that's probably someone they definitely wanted to hold on to. They were able to hold on to Frol, and Greta, who we won't see maybe a great deal of, but we'll see how that plays out. But to be able to get Deng Adel, for all the reasons you two spoke about off the top of the show, to be able to get him, entice him. This is a quality NBA player, to be able to get him. And in this whole possible teams going only to one import, to be able to get a high-volume scorer, I think it's a huge in. And I apologise to whoever made this comment. It might have been one of you two. It might have been someone else. But Brian Gorgon's got more pull than a tractor. Whoever put that into the stratosphere in the last 24 hours, I applaud you. We all applaud you. So there you go.
Shout out to NBL Pocket Podcast.
So there you go. There you go, Joe, at NBL Pocket Podcast. Hashtag NBL Free Agency Market wants to get involved. We'll be back at this time tomorrow.